Okay, wonderful. Well, I am so heartened by the number of people that registered for the Warrior of Peace, and I'm happy to see this growing group of people arriving today. It's really wonderful to know that this is a topic that is of interest and important to people. So I really thank all of you for coming today. So my name is Andrea Wynn, and I would like to warmly welcome you to the Warrior of Peace, an opportunity to connect with inner resources to prepare for what lies ahead. And so as we begin, I'd like to invite you to turn off any distractions. Turn off your cell phone, your smartphone, close any extra windows on your computer, and really create a sacred space for connecting with me and with this group today. And just inviting everybody to be sure that you've muted yourselves. Okay. So as we are beginning, I would love to invite everybody to post in the chat where you are tuning in from. So say hello and where are you tuning in from? It's always really nice to see the right variety of places where people are tuning in from. And so as you are saying your hellos in the chat, I will just introduce myself. I work as a spiritual business coach, which means that I coach spiritual entrepreneurs in developing their businesses. However, I did take the year 2018 off from work in order to do some very powerful justice activism, which is what I'm going to be talking with you about today. This is where I exposed a Buddhist cult, and specifically in my standing up to the cult, I oversaw a professional forensic investigation, which exposed the guru as a sexual predator. And so through that experience, I learned a lot about self-empowerment, and I would like to share some tips from that, but I also would like to share the spirit of that. And also, just as I'm looking at the people here, I want to acknowledge that there are people here who were part of the justice activism movement that I started, part of Buddhist Project Sunshine. Some of the wonderful volunteers are here with us today, and I really thank you especially for coming and even more feeding the energy of what I want to bring more generally through this program today. So introducing the team that we have in support today, we have Irene and Katie, who are here. And yeah, if you could both wave, that'd be great. They are here providing social engagement support. They are going to be closely monitoring the chat and responding to people in the chat. And also, if I am missing anything, because I can be kind of focused on just looking at the people and presenting. If I'm missing anything important in the chat, if you could please flag me down, either, flagging or, if I'm not paying attention, then just take your mute off and come on to let me know that there's something that would be good for me to pay attention to in the chat. So thank you both for volunteering. It's the social engagement people today. And we have a third volunteer who's doing something very different and also something very powerful, Barbara, who's here with us. She is an advanced Buddhist practitioner, and she has a lot of experience in a Tibetan Buddhist practice called Chud, which basically is a very powerful way of transforming negative, dense, maybe harm-doing energies into positive, light, benevolent, empowering energies. So Barbara and I, we've been chatting through email over the past few days, and she's been doing Chud practice in general for people after the election. But I asked her if she would do Chud practice for the people doing this program. So this is something that, if you're open to it, if you would like that support, in the coming week, Barbara is planning to do some Chud practice sessions, specifically for what has come up through our conversation today. And I'd also just like to say, Barbara is one of the volunteers from Buddhist Project Sunshine, and she actually organized a whole team of Chud practitioners that were doing Chud practice throughout Buddhist Project Sunshine. And I have absolutely no doubt that that is part of why our work was so successful in just 1 year, because we had this powerful team of Chud practitioners that were doing Chud practice on behalf of our work. So thank you very much, Barbara, for what you are doing for us. So I also wanted to just introduce the background that I chose for the program today. This is actually the image that I put on the front page of the Buddhist Project Sunshine Phase 2 report. So I published 3 reports, and the Phase 2 report was very key because it's the one where I published the forensic evidence about what the guru was doing. And so it was a very, well, I mean, these things, they're delicate, and you have to, this is why it's so important to be grounded in your own light to be able to make the decisions. This image speaks to a sense of bringing light into darkness, and there's an abundance of cheerfulness through the sunflowers, this field of sunflowers. It really gives that sense of hope that there is something beyond going through the challenges of what was going on in the community at that time. And so I wanted to bring in the cheerfulness and the power of that image that I chose to use for that report as, you know, another sort of another little reference point that I'm wanting to give you for how we can do justice activism in a way that is bringing light. It could be powerful, creating change, and also always come from this place of bringing light into the world. So I'm going to be sharing a message of hope today for those that may be concerned about Trump winning the election and being in the position of president for 4 years in the US. The US is arguably the most powerful country in the world, a lot of influence over the whole world. So this is not only of concern for US citizens, it's really concern for everyone. And I really thank those of you that emailed me before the program and shared, you know, what you were looking for from today's program. And one person who emailed me really early, I had a chance to actually ask her permission to share what she had written. And so I would just like to share her words that, because I think she's, you know, each of you is already a guiding light for others. And her words even speak to that. She said, cultivating inner peace through awareness and self-discipline creates the strength to face fear and recognize the mechanics of manipulation that disempower the potential warrior of peace that is dormant within all of us. The greater the challenge, the greater the potential for transformation. So it would appear something huge could be on the horizon. And then there was a double exclamation point. So I really love the spirit of that comment. And very aligned with what I am wanting to bring to you today. So just to give you a brief overview of the plan for today, I'm going to be guiding you through a process for reconnecting with feeling safe. And then I'm going to inspire you with my story of standing up to a Buddhist cult leader through Buddhist Project Sunshine. And then I'm going to turn the recording off, and we're going to have an opportunity for some Q&A. So you can just be aware that if you're having questions coming up throughout what I'm talking about, save them for the Q&A. And I'll be turning the recording off for the Q&A. And then after that, I'll be turning the recording back on, and we're going to finish up with me sharing my top 3 strategies for self-empowerment within a chaotic world. Hey, thank you, Katie. Okay. So everybody here is going to be, somewhere on the spectrum of feeling safe. And also you might be feeling safe on certain levels, but maybe there's like an underlying level where you're feeling less safe, knowing that Trump is going to be coming into office January the 20th. So we're going to begin with a process of reconnecting with feeling safe. And so what I would like to invite you to do is, if it feels comfortable, to put your hands over your heart. So put your hands one over the other over your heart chakra. the center of your chest. And if you would like to, you can close your eyes and just start to breathe into your heart. So breathe in through your hands into your heart and breathe out of your heart through your hands, letting all of the air out, expelling all of the air. You can continue breathing, and I'm just going to speak a little to that because we oftentimes do not breathe all of the air out of our lungs, and so we start having stale air in our lungs. And that stale air obviously is taking up space in our lungs so that we are not able to breathe in as much oxygenated air, and it disempowers us. So it's important to consciously breathe and to expel all of the air out of your lungs, and then take a nice deep breath in, filling your air with all of this nice oxygenated air. So that oxygen, it feeds your whole system, it feeds your brain so that you're able to think clearly. And so continuing to breathe in through your hands into your heart, and breathing out of your heart through your hands, coming into a sense of presence with yourself and with what we are doing here, and breathing in again to your heart and filling it with some love, some energy as you breathe in. As you breathe out, let go of any worries or cares, any sense of hassle that you might have had earlier in the day, just letting all of that go, creating the space, and breathing into your heart, and breathing in love, compassion, peace. As you breathe out, inviting you to turn your attention to the bottoms of your feet. And if you're sitting down, you can also tune into your tailbone, your base chakra. So continue breathing in and out of your heart and asking you to really anchor in to Mother Earth at this point, through your feet, through the base of your tailbone, and see roots, energetic roots, little gold and silver roots growing down through the bottoms of your feet, through the base of your spine, and traveling all the way down through the earth, down to the crystalline core of Mother Earth, and wrapping your roots lovingly around this crystalline core of Mother Earth, really sensing that sense of being held by her and being grounded, being stable, being safe in your connection with Mother Earth. And again, turning your attention to breathing beautiful energy into your heart, compassion, peace, love. And see how your heart is beginning to actually create a bubble of energy. And as you breathe this beautiful love into your heart, that bubble of energy is growing with every breath. It's growing to encompass your entire rib cage. And as you continue to breathe in this love and empowerment into your heart chakra, see that bubble of light growing past the edges of your body. And on your next breath in, see that bubble of light growing so that it's big enough to encompass your whole body in an energetic sphere of compassion and peace and protection. And it might have, some glittery, shiny lights in it. You as this warrior of peace within your bubble of compassion and peace, and protected through this beautiful heart energy of this bubble around you. And now I would like to invite you to turn your attention to this group that we have gathered here, this very sacred gathering of people that have gathered here today, and connect in with this sense of community that we have created here today. There is so much that can be, I mean, it feeds us to be in a community like this. And I want you to really open yourself to whatever is helpful to you that will nourish your spirit by being connected with this community today. And then as you feel ready, you can wiggle your fingers and toes, and in your own time, open your eyes to rejoin the visual aspect of our program, the gift of Zoom. And it might be nice to take a nice deep breath as you let that opening visualization go, this process for reconnecting with feeling more safe in yourself and in this world. So now I would like to share a bit about my story of justice activism, of standing up to power in a way that created healing, that created love, and also created beautiful connections. So I was brought up in a Tibetan Buddhist community in the early 70s in the United States. So this was at the beginning of after the communist invasion of Tibet. It drove the Tibetan gurus out of Tibet, and they filtered into different areas and started, establishing their own roots and establishing their own communities. And so my parents got involved with one of these Tibetan Buddhist gurus in the States. And so I was brought up in the Shambhala Buddhist community. And so there were a lot of blessings from growing up in a Tibetan Buddhist community. I got to have contact with a lot of the original Tibetan masters that were driven out of Tibet. I think that they may all be dead at this point. But from childhood on, I was able to have contact with these very, very blessed spiritual beings that had come out of Tibet. And I was also exposed to a real dark underbelly of this community. Sexual violence was built into the fabric of the social relations, and this included the children. Almost all of the children in my age group were either sexually harassed or sexually abused, and it looks like this practice continued even after the first wave of the second generation that I was a part of. So this was a very serious dynamic. And as you can probably guess, growing up in a situation like that, it was impossible for me to develop a sense of identity, to develop boundaries. Like it was impossible for me to be able to do some of these, core human developmental learnings that we need in life. And so it wasn't until I left the community as a young adult and did a lot of therapy, as well as other types of healing, chakra-based healing methods that really helped me to be able to do my healing. And I had a lot to do. And so when I started coming through my own healing, I started to want to be able to help others. And so I took a master's of education in counseling psychology, and I focused all of my coursework on trauma healing so that I could develop the skills for working with people who had been through deep trauma. And so when I finished that degree, I opened up a psychotherapy practice. And within a couple of years, I realized that that wasn't an exact good fit for me, because I am more spirited and I like to be goal oriented. And these are not good qualities for a good psychotherapist. And so I shifted into doing coaching, and specifically coaching with business people. And I was able to bring in a trauma-informed lens to working with them. And it was amazing, actually, the fit between the trauma background, the trauma-informed background that I had with business coaching, because so much about business is about being able to open ourselves up, to be in connection with others, and to be in relationship with others. And so it is important to work through our own trauma so that we are available to be in relationship with others. And so that's why people that I've been doing the business coaching with have really benefited, because we do that clearing on that level. So as I developed my coaching programs, I would always work through my programs myself first to work out any glitches in them. And in 2016, the program that I had developed was called Legacy Play Adventure, and was at that point a 4-month program. I worked through my own program, and I was very transformed by the work that I did in that program. It really was about connecting with a sense of legacy. And I came out of it realizing that I needed to clear up the darkness of the Buddhist community I grew up in. It was just like this huge skeleton in my closet that felt awful and heavy. And I came out of my own program realizing I needed to do something about that. And granted, it seemed really impossible how nobody could in any way stand up to the power of this really powerful organization. But I connected in with my own spirituality. I did a lot of my own work. In this case, I did take a full year to prepare myself for doing the work that I felt needed to happen. And so in 2018, I published the phase 1 report early in the year, where I was able to expose that there was sexual violence happening in the community. So I had some anonymous testimonials from people who, honestly, they were scared out of their minds to speak. But I did a lot of hand-holding. I made sure everything was anonymous. And really, it was at the very end. I mean, I had a publishing deadline. And to be honest with you, like 2 weeks before, I had nobody coming forward. Like I had been asking for months and no one was coming forward to give testimonials. So I actually created a whole draft of the report about examining its failures. And then really at the last minute is when people started coming forward and wanting to share their story, even though they were scared out of their minds. So I was able to publish, I think it was 6 different stories of people who had been sexually violated in the community. And that phase 1 report is what opened things up. And also just to say that all of my business skills were very helpful for being able to create like connection with people, because only the leaders of the community had the connection with everyone in the community. They had their email list. Nobody else, I didn't have that way of connecting with everyone, but I used my business skills as well as my adventure skills that I had developed in order to create connection through social media. And so I was able to really create connection with many thousands of people in the community through social media. And so, and interestingly, the wife of the founder of the community, so he had passed, and so at that point, his son was the leader of the community. So Buddhist Project Sunshine focused on the son, but the wife of the founder of the community, she sent out an email to every member of the community saying that she had thought that there was so much potential in what I was bringing forward in my work, and that she realized that she was so disappointed to realize that all I wanted to do was to destroy the community. And so, like I did cringe when I saw this email went out to everybody, where basically she was shaming me. And she sent it not just once, but she actually sent it another time, a week or 2 later. But the funny thing is, and I'm so grateful that I had enough of a solid base to withstand this, is that her email actually got me on the radar of a lot of people. And they actually were more curious than put off by what she said. They became very curious about what I was doing. So, so that that story, it does speak to A, the importance of developing your own inner strength for being able to navigate your hero's journey, and B, being spiritually aligned so that these coincidences can happen that can bolster and support your work in the world. So after that phase 1 report, then that is when I attracted, first of all, survivors of sexual assault by the guru. So this was the son by this point who was the guru. He had been sexually assaulting a lot of women. So those women were coming to me with their stories, and also Carol Murchison, who is at the head of her field in the United States for investigating sexual harassment in the workplace. She also came to me. And so I was able to take the delicate steps of forming relationship with all these people. And Carol actually decided to come on board and to work pro bono for the work that I was doing. And so as women who had been assaulted came to me, I was able to create, and again, this is why it was helpful to have the Masters of Education in Counseling Psychology with all of my trauma background. I was able to create trusting relationships with very scared people and connect them with Carol, who would then spend hours interviewing them and creating a body of evidence, including going out and corroborating the evidence by connecting with people who had been part of each woman's story to corroborate what they had said. And so Carol was able to create a very detailed and professionally done report about what the guru had been doing to these women. So again, speaking to the kind of groundedness that you need to have, we were supposed to be publishing the report on a certain date, and like a week or so before that, the board of directors of Shambhala threatened to sue everyone involved with the report if we publish this report. And so, unfortunately, everybody backed away. The survivors, even though they were anonymous, they said they were not willing to have their testimony in the report. And Carol herself, she said she could not be part of the report because she couldn't take the professional hit of being sued. And so I was in this place of knowing that this information needed to get out, but there was so much fear put upon everyone by the leadership that everyone had backed out. So I want you to try to imagine the kind of strength that I had to have to be the leader of this, with everybody backing out because they were afraid. And, these people, trying to scare everybody with this threat of suing. And so how many people do you think would give up at that point? Probably most people. And that's why, so many things remain hidden, and the people in power that are doing destructive things are able to continue doing what they're doing. But in this case, I really looked in my heart, and I really felt like this really had to come to light. And so I went out and I found a defamation lawyer who, again, was willing to, he was at the head of his field and also willing to work pro bono with us. And once I brought him on, he actually reviewed, I have no idea if it was like 30 or 40 drafts of our report. Every time we rewrote it, he would read it and say, change this, change that, and then they cannot sue you. So, things like, allegations, alleged assaults, like there are just certain ways that you can say things where you can't be sued for saying them. And so with that security, I was able to, again, this speaks to the importance of having relational skills. I was able to speak to each of the people involved with the report and be able to build enough trust for them to come back on board. And so we were able to publish that report. And so by this time, the work that we were doing was transforming the community. So again, phase 2 report is the one with the image behind me. It's transforming the community, as well as really getting the attention of major media. And so I was, again, I was a shy little introvert, but I had to find new resources within myself to speak to journalists from the New York Times, The Guardian, Newsweek. And I was doing live interviews on NPR radio and CBC radio. And I was on global TV, CBC TV. I connected with these resources within myself because I had done my work ahead of time to know how important this was. And I got in touch with my strengths, my gifts. And so I was able to continue leading this forward in this way. Oh, the sun is coming out here. What funny timing. So, all to say that it is possible to get in touch with what is within you in a powerful way that can transform the world around you, even in the face of really powerful men in power. And this does speak to the power of love and of goodness. It is more powerful than their dysfunction and their greed. So another piece of the work that I did was not only bringing to light, the injustices, but also care for the community. In the reports that I published, I provided a way for reading the reports. I gave them a Jesuit way of analyzing a text so that they could do it in a contemplative way. Katie, you're nodding your head because you and we were taking the same classes where we learned the horizon analysis. And so I taught the community, I put it right into the report. I recommend that you don't just read this like, in a bad state. Actually carve out a piece of time and use this way of analyzing a text so that you don't get thrown off by what you're going to read, and so that you can read it in a contemplative and reflective way. So there was that. And then as well, I hosted these 3 online discussions groups where people were able to come together. So they were like multi-week online discussion groups where people could come together, talk about what they were going through, and get some support. So it was a combination of exposing what was happening and also supporting the integration of the information in the community. That was part of the loving approach that I brought to my justice activism. So I just like to just share, the things that were achieved under my leadership in just 1 year. We completed a professionally and sensitively conducted forensic investigation into the facts of sexual and spiritual abuse within the Shambhala Buddhist community. We facilitated 3 global online discussion forums for those who were affected by this daunting psychological and spiritual crisis. My work was featured on the front page of the New York Times. It was in Newsweek, The Guardian, and the Columbia Journalism Review, as well as many other journalistic sources. Interviewed on NPR, CBC Radio, CBC TV, and Global TV. And I organized an organization that had 37 volunteers working with us. And I did fundraising for it and raised $32,000 to support the work that year. And some specific outcomes from our work is that our forensic investigation led to 2 criminal investigations opening in Colorado and Vermont, as well as a 3rd related investigation that opened in Boulder, Colorado. It caused the guru to step down and to leave the community. And it opened the doorway for other women to have the courage to expose leaders in their own spiritual communities. To this day, I still have women approaching me from like Muslim communities, yoga communities, lots of different spiritual communities. This kind of thing is happening. And the work that I led in that 1 year, it had this ripple effect of providing inspiration and light to people in similar situations in other communities. So very, very powerful. Not only huge change in my own community, but also impacting people of other communities. So at this point, I would like to turn off the recording. Just going to pause it. Okay, beautiful. All right. So from our discussion, we already know there is a lot of wisdom already within this group. But I am just wanting to, just from my experience with my justice activism, to share what I feel are my top 3 strategies for self-empowerment within being in like a chaotic outer world. Like you could tell from my story, I kind of like I created, this bubble of empowerment around myself because while people were, shaking and falling all around me, I had to maintain my strength through all of that. So these are the 3 strategies that I think are the most important. So the first one is to develop personal discipline so that you are not distracted by what's outside of you. So in my case, I developed that primarily through mindfulness meditation, of really working with my mind. And when I notice that my mind has gotten distracted, firmly and gently bringing my mind back to, the focus of my breath. And that mind training is very helpful for then being able to bring discipline into all areas of your life. So I do feel that developing our personal sense of discipline is absolutely core for being able to remain steady and to be able to not just be pushed over by the people outside of you that want to push you over. The second of the top 3 strategies, you know what, Irene, you're inspiring me to pop my strategies into the chat. So there's my first one. The second one is create a good life based in love because it will insulate you. So this means really working on your actual home environment and working on your close relationships and cultivating a loving environment around you. So that's like every day investing in creating a loving environment around you, because that environment of love, it will insulate you. And I will just again invite people to mute themselves. It just so that you are, I'd like to protect your anonymity here. So this is going to say number 1 again, just because Zoom is putting as 1, but this is number 2 that I'm just posting into the chat. And then the third one is to take your hero's journey and to dig deep for your personal gifts and talents, and that this will bring strength in the face of any darkness. So again, for me, this was doing my Legacy Play Adventure program in 2016. That's where I took my hero's journey. And, there's all these different phases of the hero's journey. And it's, at the bottom part of the cycle, you're like practically facing death. Like you're facing the worst of the worst. And, the hero's journey really does imply that you will develop incredible courage. But the hero's journey also includes, getting allies. It also includes getting a mentor. Like there's these different phases that you go through before you go and face, into the mouth of the dragon at the bottom of the hero's journey. So you need to really take your own hero's journey and develop that within yourself before you take the outer hero's journey and bring those gifts out into the world. So I hope that those 3 strategies, that you will find them helpful or at least thought-provoking, and that they may help you to tap into strengths and abilities that you would like to tap into. So I would like to really, really thank all of you. I can see some of you are lost in contemplation right now, which is awesome. I would really like to thank all of you for coming. This is your Sunday, your precious day off for many people. I really thank you for investing your time and coming here with me today. And I also really appreciate everything that everyone has shared. And I'm wanting to inspire hope because there's enough pain out there in the world. I am wanting to inspire hope at this time. And I want you to be feeling empowered and that there's like a light at the end of the tunnel with Trump being president for 4 years, I want you to feel, yes, that you will be able to create a good journey through this. So we have covered quite a bit here today, but of course, there's only so much that we can do in 1 hour. So I am offering complimentary short coaching sessions for all of you in this coming week. So we can get together for 15 or 20 minutes and we can look at your specific situation, look at specifically what you are experiencing, and we can create an action plan for steps for you to, I mean, we're thinking right now, we've got the 6 or 7 weeks until the inauguration. And so we could be looking at how you can be preparing yourself for January 20th, when Trump takes office. And so I do have a variety of levels of support that I'm able to offer to clients. And I work with people both one-on-one and also group. I'm feeling that it could be good to actually have a group working together, do a little group coaching program between now and the inauguration, to really be helping people to prepare themselves for, the unknown. I mean, the uncertainty is really going to begin January the 20th. And I know that if you're here today, it's because you care about the vulnerable, and perhaps you're even feeling vulnerable yourself. And so this is the chance to prepare well, and not from a place of fear, but really a place of being proactive. So I have a really a variety of ways that I'm able to support people, and would love to discuss, whatever might be a match for a level of support for you in this time. And so I will just, I'll post a link where you can book one of these complimentary sessions. And I've opened up my calendar for this coming week so that people should be able to easily find a time. Why am I? Oh, this is so funny. Okay, it's having a little technical glitch there. All right, I am posting the link where you can click on that and you can book a complimentary session. And for me, it's a real pleasure to get to meet people, and also to sort of dig into, your personal situation and, what could really be shifting things into a place of inspiration and empowerment for you. So I would like to thank Katie and Irene for your beautiful social engagement service today. It's really such a help to have that support. So thank you so much. And if anybody else wants to thank them, you can just pop a little thank you into the chat or put a heart on your screen. And again, I would like to thank you, Barbara, for coming here today and tuning into the vibes and, doing some chud practice. That's really so powerful that you are doing that for this group this coming week. So thank you. And so I'm going to turn the recording off again because I always like to end. Hold on 1 second, but I really like to end my programs inviting people to take off their mutes and for all of us to talk all over each other. So first of all, I am going to be staying on for that other question, for the hand up, and anybody else that has questions. And now I'm going to stop the recording.